Thank you so much, TEDxBodija, for this great time that you invited me to speak today. Why do some people live fulfilled lives while others get stuck in survival modes? Is effective living exclusive to a tiny minority, while baseline living is the lot of a huge majority? Is it possible to live full and die empty? And have you ever thought about what that could mean? Switch on your imagination. Let's travel to the future. You have waited for this event for years. Everything you've accomplished in life pales into insignificance compared to it. It can't be compared to your certificates from the best institutions. It can't be compared to your properties in choice cities. And it can't be compared to even your charming spouse and adorable grandchildren. The auditorium is decked in opulence and is packed full with people all over the world. People who hold you dear in their hearts and whom you also hold dear in your heart. It's a bright morning, but the dim lights in the auditorium cast a sort of blood luminance on the faces of your guests who are all dressed to fit the event, your event. Music that creates the tone for the event breathes from speakers hid in the acoustic ceiling. The atmosphere is solemn. Everywhere is quiet. The procession begins. Your guests all rise to celebrate your life. Then the procession then winds down to the platform and the podium at the front of the auditorium. A few people come up to the podium to speak about you. On the podium, it's a beautiful table that is being decked in purple satin and white lace. At the center of that table is a beautiful box, the only object of everyone in the auditorium. And in the box is you, dead. How would you feel if the people on that podium said things that didn't reflect the life that you lived? How would you feel if your epitaph were a false reflection of the life that you lived? How would you feel if your funeral eulogy did not describe the kind of life that you lived? What if you had one more opportunity to write your funeral eulogy and your epitaph? I took us to that imaginary auditorium because I wanted us to see how living with the end in mind can cause us to think about the way we live. How we could live with the end in mind can affect the way we currently live. It happened to me. I was born to meet 3 siblings. Being the 4th child and the second boy, I completed the 50-50 ratio of boys to girls. My parents were teachers, and because of their small income, they didn't want to have any more children. So when my younger brother Patrick forced himself into the world against all odds, my parents knew that there was something unique about this boy called Patrick. Raise your hand if you have a troublesome younger brother. Put all these hands together and you have my younger brother. But as troublesome as Patrick was, Patrick and I had a very close relationship. Growing up in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, years ago, was fun. I and a few kids in my village came together to form a tribe. It wasn't the tribe of Judah. But each kid wanted to be the lion of the tribe. So from wrestling competitions, from tossings at school, from swimming competitions, we had wrestling competitions, we had tossings at school, we had swimming because we wanted to compete to be able to elect who would be the tribe, the leader of the tribe of Judah, in quote. I missed that tribe. When I got into the secondary school, I missed the fun of that tribe when I began the university back in those days. And I missed all of the fun of that tribe when I began to work for an NGO. Patrick, my younger brother, was an active member of that tribe. We used to have fun. He wore my clothes, and I wore his clothes. My moving into a new apartment and my getting married did not break that bond. We slept on the same bed each time I would go to visit him. Then tragedy struck. Patrick took ill in the early part of August 2007. After attempts to recover from the sickness, Patrick died. I remember kneeling beside his body, a person in grief, in a family in mourning, in a village in shock. When Patrick's body lay in state, I felt the sting of death, but I breathed the pain. When Patrick's body was lowered into the grave, I felt the sting of death, but I breathed the pain. But when it was my turn to do the dust-to-dust farewell, I couldn't breathe the pain anymore. I broke down and I cried. It was an emotional day for me. I walked back to the house through a sea of tears. One month after Patrick's death, I had an epiphany. My mind traveled back in time to that dust-to-dust farewell. Moments stretched into minutes. Minutes stretched into hours. And hours stretched into eternity. Suddenly I realized that someday the curtain would fall. The play would end. And I would exit the stage, this stage called life. On the surface, or for any person, bereavement could be just a loss. But on a deeper level, and for me, bereavement offered me an opportunity to learn important lessons. I learned 3 important lessons I believe that we all can apply to our lives. Lesson number 1. We must live intentionally. One way to live intentionally is to live by design. Bereavement was the satellite navigator that recalibrated me into my design. Let me tell you how that happened. Thank you. I was really enjoying your teaching about physics. I was a physics student too. Studied physics at the university. I remember telling my friends that I want to pursue a career in nuclear physics. But even as a physics undergraduate student, I was enraptured, I was increasingly enraptured by literature, and I noticed a growing passion for wordplay. I discovered that my strength were in my love for, my flair for, and my modest facility with words, despite being basically a science person. So after my first degree in physics, I went to do a postgraduate course in communication arts with a tilt towards print journalism. But it was death-induced solitude that took me on a journey, an introspective journey into myself. I asked myself some questions. Who am I? What's my DNA? How am I wired? What makes me fulfilled? What fuels my passion? What will I do that even if I would not be paid for it, I will still do it? What will I do that I do very effortlessly easy? What will I do that will bring me into a place of comfort with myself? That journey, that introspective journey, led me to start a company called Wizards with Words. We are fledgling, we are building, we are trudging on gradually. And this is the crux of my lesson today. Find your design. When you find your design, live by that design. We are all product of intentional design. The designer's intention occasioned our configuration. Birds have wings because birds are designed to fly. Fishes have fins because they are designed to swim. We are how we are because of why we are. And this is the kernel of my first lesson today. And the kernel is find your design. And when you find your design, live by that design. This brings me to my second lesson today. My second lesson is we must do our best work. I believe that everyone that is born into this world has some skills that they have been given to trade with. If today were our last day on earth, or if tomorrow were our last day on earth, would we want to do the work that we did today? If our answer is no, maybe we should try and change our work. We need to do what is important to us. That's our best work. We need to do what resonates with our core. That's our best work. We need to do what gives us fulfillment. That's our best work. Because when we die, our best work will be a pointer to what we really cared about, what really mattered to us. By our best work, I don't mean our jobs, I don't mean our career, or even our profession. I define our best work as anything we do that maximizes our creativity, adds value to humanity, and gives us fulfillment. Did you know that the highest cases of depression happen on Sunday evenings? Did you know that the highest rates of male suicides happen on Sunday nights? Did you know that the highest rates of car accidents happen on Monday mornings? And did you also know that the highest rates of this accident occur more than at any time in history? Why is this so? What is the reason for these startling statistics? It's simple. Many people don't like the work that they do. They are in holy matrimony with meaningless monotony. One of the best ways to do our best work is to work on ideas that really resonate with us. And many people here have brilliant ideas. I know this is not parliament. But if you have any idea that has struck you in the past years, say aye. If you don't have, say nay. The ayes have it. The best way to work on ideas is to work on things that really call up your creative capacities. And ideas rule the world. You may be a writer or a speaker. You may be a sculptor or a doctor. Whatever is your best work, get immersed in it. And be bold enough to go against public convention of people who want to tell you what your best idea should be, what your best work should be. You must be able to stand your ground and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Because at the end of the day, your ideas show forth your best work. And let me say this, never be ashamed of your best work. I repeat, never be ashamed of your best work. And this brings me to my third and last lesson for today. And the lesson is, we must make significant contribution. Through photosynthesis, plants receive carbon dioxide and they give out oxygen. That's basic biology. Through respiration, animals receive oxygen and they give out carbon dioxide. I remember this story back in the days in our class, in biology class. Our teacher asked one of our very naughty boys, his name was Big Joe, to define what is respiration. Big Joe came from the back to the front of the class, stood, inhaled air, exhaled air, and said to the teacher, that's respiration. We laughed as we laughed that day, but Big Joe told us a very important lesson, something that's very profound, that every human being is in the process of giving and receiving. That's what the designer built this world to become. So we give and we receive. We give and we receive. But sadly, many people only receive, but they never give. That's why Maya Angelou, the late renowned American poet, said, I have learned that in life, you shouldn't go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands. You should be able to throw something back. Now, throwing something back is the only way to keep on living even after we die. Throwing something back is the only way to be relevant even from our graves. People would not remember us for the cars we drove, or the mansions we built, or the vacations we went for, or the dress we wore, or the jewelry we wore. People will remember us for throwing something back, for making significant contribution. At this point, let me take us back to that imaginary auditorium I described in the beginning. Now, imagine that the music that breathed from speakers hitting the ceiling was this song. Fading away like the stars of the morning, losing their lights in the glorious sun. Thus would we pass from the earth and its toiling, only remembered by what we have done. Only remembered, only remembered, only remembered by what we have done. Thus would we pass from the earth and its toiling, only remembered by what we have done